The great hall of the Universal Council stretched so high that clouds formed near its ceiling. The massive chamber could hold 10,000 beings, and today it was packed with representatives from every corner of the galaxy, tall crystal creatures. From Vega Prime sparkled like living diamonds, while tentacled diplomats from the Andromeda sector floated in special water tanks. The air buzzed with hundreds of different languages being translated by advanced computers. Commander Hana Kim stood outside the enormous golden doors waiting for her turn to speak. Her human uniform looked plain and simple compared to the glowing robes and energy fields worn by the alien representatives. She had practiced her speech 1,000 times, but her hands still shook slightly. This was humanity's 50th attempt to join the Universal Council, and she knew it would probably end like all the others. Inside the Chamber Council speaker, Vorthak raised his massive reptilian head. His silver scales caught the light as he addressed the assembly in a voice that echoed like thunder. The Draconi leader had ruled the council for over 200 years, and he had never once voted in favor of a human petition. Today we discuss the human request for membership once again. Vorthak announced. His forked tongue flicked out as he spoke, showing his distaste for the topic. As always, I recommend we reject their application completely. These primitive creatures have nothing to offer our advanced civilization. Their ships are made of crude metal, their weapons shoot simple bullets, and their colonies struggle to survive, even with our charity. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The ethereal collective nodded their glowing heads while the machine race called the Construct sent approval signals through their network. Even the peaceful Nepturi seemed to agree that humans were not ready for council membership. Counselor Thrix of the aquatic species raised a webbed hand to speak. I have visited human colonies and seen their technology firsthand. They still use fossil fuels on many worlds. Their fastest ships take months to travel between star systems, while our vessels make the same journey in days. They are at least 1,000 years behind our scientific development. The insect-like Arachnari representative clicked her mandibles in what passed for laughter among her people. My scouts report that human weapons cannot even penetrate basic energy shields. Their military tactics are crude, and their leaders argue among themselves constantly. They would be a liability in any conflict. War Chief Gorak of the Massive Bear, like Ursani species, stood to his full height of 12 feet. His voice boomed across the chamber like a battle roar. I have fought beside humans in border conflicts. They are brave enough, but their equipment fails constantly. Their ships break down, their weapons jam, and their armor cracks under pressure. How can we trust beings who cannot even maintain their own? Technology Elder Nim of the Ethereal Collective spoke in her ancient whisper-like voice that somehow reached every corner of the hall. In my 5,000 years, I have seen many species rise and fall. Humans show potential, but they are still too young, too violent, and too divided. They spend more time fighting each other than developing their civilization. The debate continued for hours, as it had for 50 years. Representatives shared stories of human incompetence and backwardness. They spoke of colonies that had to be rescued from natural disasters, human ships that got lost in space, and diplomatic missions that ended in embarrassing cultural misunderstandings. What none of them knew was that Captain June Park was listening to every word from his hidden position just outside the space station. His ship, the Defiant Hope, appeared on their sensors as nothing more than another human cargo vessel bringing supplies to the station. In reality, it was something the Universal Council had never seen before. The ship looked ordinary from the outside with its gray metal hull and simple design, but deep inside its core hummed with power that defied everything the Council thought they knew about physics. Dark matter flowed through, specially designed chambers creating energy levels that would have amazed even the most advanced Council scientists. The hull itself could phase in and out of normal space, making the ship completely invisible to any known detection method. June had been a regular Navy captain for 15 years, serving on conventional human ships that barely worked half the time. He had endured the laughter of alien crews when his vessel broke down, or when human technology failed during joint operations. But 3 years ago, everything had changed when he was selected for the most secret project in human history. Admiral Minho Seo had personally recruited him for the Dark Matter program. The grizzled old veteran had looked June in the eye and said, "The Council thinks we are primitive scavengers who pose no threat to their perfect civilization. They are about to learn how wrong they are." Now, as June listened to the aliens mock and dismiss his species, he felt a cold anger building in his chest. These beings had rejected every human attempt at friendship. Every offer of trade, every request for technological exchange, every plea for help during disasters had been ignored or refused. The Council saw humans as nothing more than amusing pets, at best, and dangerous pests at worst. The vote was called, and the result was exactly what everyone expected: unanimous rejection of the human petition. Not a single voice spoke in favor of giving humanity a chance. Council Speaker Vorthak announced the decision with obvious satisfaction. The human application for membership is denied due to insufficient technological development and unstable political structure. They may reapply in 50 years if they show significant progress. Commander Hannah Kim received the news with dignity, though her heart sank. She bowed politely and thanked the Council for their consideration, even though she knew it had been nothing but a formality. The decision had been made before she ever entered the chambers. She walked back to her transport. Hannah activated her personal communicator and sent a coded message to Admiral Minho Seo on Earth. The message was simple: petition denied as expected. Recommend proceeding with Operation Revelation, far above the station. Captain June Park received the same message. He looked at his crew of hand-picked officers who had all volunteered for this dangerous mission. They were tired of being laughed at, tired of being dismissed, tired of watching their people struggle, while advanced aliens looked down on them with contempt. "Well, you heard the decision," June said quietly as he moved to the captain's chair. 50 more years of being treated like primitive animals unless we do something about it. Prepare for departure and send word to the Admiral. The age of begging for acceptance is over. The Defiant Hope began to move away from the station, still invisible to every sensor, still undetected by the most advanced military in the galaxy. Behind them, the Universal Council continued their meeting completely unaware that they had just made the biggest mistake in their 3,000-year history. They had underestimated humanity for the last time, as the ship jumped to dark matter drive and vanished into the void between dimensions. June smiled grimly. Soon the galaxy would learn what humans were really capable of when they stopped playing by other people's rules. The Nexus defense platform orbited the massive gas giant Kronos in the heart of Council space, like a metal moon bristling with weapons. The station was the size of a small city, with enough firepower to destroy entire fleets. Its energy shields had never been breached in the 300 years since its construction. The platform served as both a symbol of Council military might and the headquarters for their entire galactic defense network. Admiral Vex of the proud Draconi warrior caste commanded the station from his bridge high in the central tower. His bronze scales gleamed under the artificial lights as he reviewed the morning's security reports. Everything appeared normal, exactly as it had for centuries. His long-range sensors showed empty space in all directions, with only the usual civilian traffic moving along established trade routes. What Admiral Vex could not see were the 5 human dark matter warships that had been in position around his station for 3 days. The invisible vessels hung motionless in the void, their crews watching and waiting for the signal to begin Operation Thunderbolt. The first demonstration of human power that would shake the foundations of the Universal Council, Captain June Park floated in the command center of his ship, the Defiant Hope, studying holographic displays that showed every detail of the enemy station. His crew of 200 humans worked quietly at their stations, checking weapons systems and preparing for the most important mission in human history through encrypted dark matter communication channels that the Council did not even know existed. Jun coordinated with his fellow commanders. Captain Mira Song commanded the Silent Arrow. Captain Yuki Han controlled the Dark Storm. Captain Sung Choi piloted the Nightblade, and Captain Hai Li directed the Shadow Strike. Remember everyone, Jun said into his communicator? We are not here to start a war. We are here to send a message. Disable their weapons and shields, but avoid casualties. We want the galaxy to fear our capabilities, not hate us for using them. The attack plan had been developed over months of careful study. Human intelligence agents had mapped every system, every weakness, every critical component of the Nexus defense platform. The strike would be surgical precise and impossible to defend against at exactly 0300 station time when most of the alien crew would be resting. The assault began. Dark matter torpedoes phased directly through the station's energy shields as if they did not exist. The weapons had been specifically designed to disrupt electronic systems without causing explosions that might kill the crew. The first torpedo struck the station's main power grid, sending cascades of sparks through the corridors as emergency lighting activated. The second disabled the primary weapon systems, turning the mighty defense platform into a helpless target. The third knocked out the communication array, while the fourth destroyed the sensor network. Within 5 minutes, the most heavily defended military installation in Council space was completely powerless. All of its weapons were offline, its shields were down, and its sensors were blind. Emergency sirens wailed throughout the station as alien crews ran to battle stations that no longer functioned. Admiral Vex stared at his screens in complete shock. His instruments showed nothing but static, where they should have displayed tactical information. The station shook as another dark matter torpedo struck a secondary power junction, but his sensors still detected no enemy vessels. How is this possible? He roared at his bewildered bridge crew. Run full-spectrum scans. Launch all fighter squadrons. Find these attackers immediately. But there was nothing to find. The human ships remained completely invisible, phased into the dark matter dimension where Council sensors could not reach them. The fighters that launched from the station flew random search patterns, finding only empty space, while their mothership continued to suffer mysterious attacks. Captain Jun Park watched the chaos unfolding on the enemy station through his dark matter sensors. He could see alien crew members running through corridors trying to repair systems that kept failing. The psychological impact was exactly what Admiral Seo had hoped for. The Council's most advanced technology was useless against an enemy they could not see or understand. The final phase of the operation began, as the human ships withdrew to safe distances and activated a special transmitter that sent a message directly to the station's emergency broadcast system. Every screen throughout the platform displayed the same words in all Council languages. Humanity sends its regards. News of the impossible attack spread across Council space faster than light as emergency communications networks carried the story to every world in the galaxy. The Nexus defense platform, the symbol of Council military supremacy, had been completely disabled by invisible attackers who struck without warning and vanished without a trace. Within hours, reinforcement fleets arrived from across the sector, but they found only a crippled station and empty space. The most advanced sensors in the galaxy detected no sign of the attackers, no energy signatures, no weapon residue, nothing that could explain how the assault had been carried out. War Chief Gorak arrived aboard his massive battlecruiser expecting to find enemy wreckage, or at least some clue about who had dared attack Council forces. Instead, he found Admiral Vex and his crew working frantically to restore basic systems while trying to explain an attack that seemed impossible. The enemy weapons passed through our shields like they were not there. Admiral Vex reported, his voice shaking with confusion. Our sensors detected nothing, but the damage was real and precise. They knew exactly what to target to disable us without destroying the station emergency meetings. Were called on every major council world as leaders struggled to understand what had happened. Species that had felt secure in their technological superiority for millennia suddenly faced the terrifying reality that something or someone possessed weapons they could not detect or defend against. The answer came 12 hours after the attack in the form of a transmission that reached every council world simultaneously. A human woman appeared on screens across the galaxy, her image broadcast. Through communication networks that should have been impossible for primitive human technology to access, Admiral Jin Seo, daughter of the man who had planned this moment, stood in her dress uniform against a backdrop of stars. Her voice was calm and professional, but her words sent chills through every alien who heard them. "I am Admiral Jin Seo of the Human Colonial Fleet," she began. "The Universal Council has ignored humanity for the last time, dismissing us as primitive and backward, while denying our rightful place among the civilizations of the galaxy. The attack on the Nexus defense platform was a demonstration of capabilities that your scientists assured you humans could never possess. We demand immediate recognition as an equal member of the Universal Council with all rights and privileges that status entails. This is your only warning," she continued, her eyes hard as steel. "The next demonstration of our power will not be so gentle we can strike any target anywhere in Council. Space and your defenses cannot stop us. Consider carefully whether you wish to continue treating humanity as inferior." The transmission ended, leaving the galaxy in stunned silence. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Universal Council faced a threat they did not understand, could not detect, and had no defense against. The age of Council dominance was ending, whether they were ready to accept it or not. Deep in the asteroid field beyond the Kepler system, where no alien scout had ever ventured, Admiral Minho Seo stood on the observation deck of Prometheus Station. The massive hidden base had been carved from the heart of a dead planetoid. Over the past 5 years, its existence was known only to a select few humans who had sworn their lives to keep the secret. Through the reinforced viewing ports, Admiral Seo could see them floating in perfect formation, like sleeping giants waiting to wake. The dark matter warships of humanity hung motionless in space, their black hulls seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. 37 vessels, each one representing a breakthrough that had taken decades to achieve. Dr. Yuna Choi approached, the Admiral carrying her daily status report. The brilliant physicist looked tired after another 18-hour shift in the research labs, but her eyes still sparkled with excitement over her greatest discovery. She had cracked the mystery that had puzzled scientists for centuries: how to harness and manipulate dark matter. "The fleet is ready, Admiral," she said as she handed him the data pad. "All systems are operating at full capacity. The crews have completed their final training exercises. Our ships can phase in and out of normal space at will, becoming completely invisible to any known detection method." Admiral Seo studied the numbers with satisfaction. Each ship could carry a crew of 200 humans and remain hidden in dark matter, phase for weeks at a time. Their weapons could strike targets from within the dark matter dimension, making them impossible to defend against. Their engines could propel them across the galaxy faster than any Council vessel could dream of traveling. The discovery had happened almost by accident during a research project on energy generation. Dr. Choi had been trying to create a new type of fusion reactor when she noticed strange readings in her instruments. The dark matter that made up most of the universe was interacting with her experimental equipment in ways that defied conventional physics. While alien scientists had spent centuries trying to understand and manipulate visible matter and energy, humans had stumbled upon something far more powerful. The invisible dark matter that surrounded everything could be controlled, shaped, and used as both a power source and a means of transportation. Lieutenant Colonel Kyung Lee, the fleet's chief tactical officer, pulled up holographic displays, showing the positions of Council military forces throughout the galaxy. His analysis had taken months to complete, but now they knew the exact location of every major installation, every patrol route, every weakness in the Council's defenses. They outnumber us 1,000 to 1 in conventional ships, he reported, but their sensors cannot detect dark matter signatures. Their weapons are designed to fight enemies. They can see, and their shields cannot block attacks from the dark matter dimension. We have the advantage of complete surprise. Admiral Seo nodded as he studied the tactical information. He had served in humanity's regular fleet for 30 years, watching as alien species looked down on human technology and dismissed their military capabilities. He had been present at the massacre of Proxima Colony when Council peacekeepers had destroyed a human settlement for allegedly violating territorial agreements. That day had changed everything for Minho Seo. He had watched helplessly as advanced alien warships obliterated the colony with weapons that human shields could not block. The official council report called it a regrettable incident. But Seo knew the truth. The aliens had wanted to send a message that humans should know their place standing. Among the wreckage of Proxima Colony, surrounded by the bodies of 3,000 innocent civilians, Admiral Seo had made a vow: humanity would never again be helpless against those who saw them as inferior. Never again would human colonies be destroyed by beings who considered themselves superior. The Dark Matter Project had been born from that vow. Using resources diverted from a dozen different military budgets and scientists recruited from the most classified research programs, humanity had built something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Captain Dae Kim entered the observation deck, still wearing his flight suit after returning from a patrol mission. He was the youngest ship commander in the fleet, barely 30 years old, but he had proven himself to be one of the most skilled pilots in human history. His ship, the Silent Thunder, had completed more successful stealth missions than any other vessel admiral, the young captain said, as he saluted. I need to ask something that has been bothering me and my crew. Once we reveal ourselves to the galaxy, there will be no going back. The Council will know that humanity has been hiding this technology from them. They might consider it an act of war. The Admiral turned from the viewing port to face the young officer. He could see the concern in Captain Kim's eyes and knew that many of the crews shared the same worry. They were about to cross a line that could not be uncrossed. Captain Kim, the Admiral said. In a voice that carried the weight of his years of service, the Council declared war on us long ago. They just never bothered to inform us officially. Every rejected petition, every dismissed colony, request every time they have treated us like primitive animals. That was their declaration of war. He gestured toward the hidden fleet floating in the darkness. Each of those ships represents years of human ingenuity, determination, and sacrifice. We built them not because we wanted war, but because we realized that peace was impossible, as long as the galaxy saw us as inferior. The truth is, Captain, that we tried the diplomatic approach for 50 years. We offered friendship, cooperation, and mutual assistance. The Council response was to laugh at us, ignore us, and occasionally destroy our colonies when we became inconvenient. Now it is time to try a different approach. Dr. Choi stepped forward to add her own perspective. The dark matter technology gives us more than just military advantages. Admiral can revolutionize space travel, energy production, and communication. Once the galaxy sees what we have accomplished, they will have to acknowledge that human science is not primitive or backwards, Captain. Kim nodded slowly, understanding the bigger picture. This is not just about military power, he said quietly. This is about forcing the galaxy to recognize that humanity deserves respect and equality. Exactly, Admiral Seo replied, and that recognition will only come through strength. The Council respects power above all else. When they see what our dark matter fleet can accomplish, they will finally understand that humanity is not a species to be dismissed or ignored." The admiral turned back to the viewing port, where the invisible warships waited for their orders. Soon those vessels would emerge from hiding and announce to the galaxy that the age of human weakness was over. The Universal Council would learn that they had severely underestimated the species they had rejected for so long as. The three humans stood watching their secret fleet. Admiral Seo felt a mixture of pride and determination. Pride in what humanity had accomplished in secret, and determination to use that accomplishment to secure their people's future among the stars. The galaxy was about to change, and humanity would be the force driving that change. The emergency session of the Universal Council convened in chaos, rather than the usual dignified order that had maintained galactic peace for 3 millennia. Representatives from dozens of species filled the great chamber, but instead of calm, deliberation. There was fear, panic, and angry demands for action. The attack on the Nexus defense platform had shattered their confidence in Council military superiority. Councillor Thrix of the aquatic Nepturi species raised his webbed hands in distress. As he addressed the assembly, "How long have these humans possessed this technology?" he asked, his voice echoing through the water-filled speaker system. "How many of their ghost ships are watching us right now, preparing to strike our worlds?" The question sent a visible shudder through the chamber as representatives realized they might be under observation at that very moment by invisible human vessels. Even here in the most secure facility in Council space, they no longer felt safe from enemies. They could not see or detect Council Speaker Vorthak struggled to maintain order as voices rose throughout the hall. The massive Draconi leader had ruled over peaceful sessions for 2 centuries, but he had never faced a crisis like this one. His silver scales seemed to have lost their luster as he called for calm. The militant faction led by War Chief Gorak of the Bear, like Ursani, demanded immediate military action. The 12-foot-tall warrior stood at his full height, his voice booming across the chamber like a battle cry. "We cannot show weakness to these primitive humans. Rally all our fleets and hunt down every human colony. Destroy their shipyards before they can build more of these invisible ships." Support for Gorak's position came from the insect-like Arachnari, whose clicking mandibles expressed their species' natural aggression. "My scouts have located 17 human colonies in the Outer Rim systems. If we strike quickly and without mercy, we can cripple their ability to threaten us further." The machine race known as the Construct transmitted their cold logical analysis through the chamber's computer network. Human dark matter technology represents an unacceptable variable in galactic security calculations. Elimination of the source is the most efficient solution to restore system stability, but other voices spoke for caution and careful consideration. Elder Nim of the ancient ethereal collective had lived through 5,000 years of galactic history. Her wispy form glowed softly as she spoke in her whisper-like voice that somehow reached every corner of the hall. "Perhaps we have misjudged humanity," she said slowly. "A species that can develop such advanced technology while appearing primitive shows remarkable intelligence and cunning. We dismiss them as backward savages, but they have been working in secret to surpass our greatest achievements." The crystal beings from Vega Prime resonated in harmonic agreement with Elder Nim's words. Their musical voices created complex melodies as they spoke. "These humans have demonstrated abilities we thought impossible. They can phase matter between dimensions, manipulate dark energy, and remain undetected by our most advanced sensors. We underestimated them completely." Counselor Zephyr of the flying Etherian race fluttered her gossamer wings nervously. "If humans can disable the Nexus defense platform, what is to stop them from attacking our home worlds, our cities, our families?" Every military installation in Council space is now vulnerable to weapons we cannot see coming. Behind-the-scenes intelligence agencies across Council space work desperately to gather information about human capabilities. Every probe sent toward human territory vanished without a trace. Every spy mission failed to return. It was as if humanity had pulled a curtain of invisibility across their entire civilization. Dr. Vex Morton, the Council's chief military scientist, presented his analysis to the emergency session. His reptilian features were grim as he displayed holographic models of the attack. Based on sensor data from the Nexus platform, human dark matter weapons operate on principles we do not understand. Their torpedoes phase through normal matter, including our energy shields. He continued, the weapons can strike from within an alternate dimension, making conventional defenses useless. If they possess a fleet of these vessels, they could systematically disable our entire military without us ever detecting them. The debates raged for days as different factions argued for various approaches. The militants wanted immediate war despite not knowing how to fight an invisible enemy. The moderates called for negotiation, while the isolationists suggested retreating to heavily defended core world's intelligence reports painted an increasingly disturbing picture. Human colonies that had seemed struggling and primitive were revealed to have underground facilities and hidden technologies. Merchant ships that appeared to be simple cargo haulers might actually be advanced military vessels in disguise. Captain Rex of the elite Draconi Special Forces provided the most chilling assessment. I have fought humans in border conflicts for 20 years and thought I knew their capabilities. Everything I believed about human technology was wrong. They have been playing a game we did not even know existed. The economic implications began to emerge as well. Trade routes that passed through human space were now potentially under the control of an invisible fleet. Shipping companies worried about their vessels being attacked or hijacked by enemies they could not see. Commercial interests demanded action to restore confidence in galactic commerce. Fear spread beyond government circles as news of the attack reached civilian populations across Council worlds. Citizens who had felt secure under Council protection for centuries suddenly realized that their governments could not defend them against this new threat. Panic buying emptied stores as people prepared for possible attacks. The Ethereal Collective sent out psychic probes trying to locate human minds in space, but found nothing. Their telepathic abilities were useless against enemies who might be phased into another dimension. The machine constructs attempted to analyze dark matter signatures, but their sensors registered only background radiation. Days of debate gradually led to one inescapable conclusion. Humanity was no longer the weak primitive species that could be safely ignored. They possessed technology that made them potentially the most powerful military force in the galaxy. Whether through negotiation or continued conflict, the balance of power had fundamentally changed. Elder Nim spoke the words that many were thinking, but few were willing to say aloud. We face a choice between accepting these humans as equals or engaging in a war we may not be able to win. Their technology gives them advantages we cannot counter with conventional weapons. The chamber fell silent as the full implications sank in. For 3,000 years, the Universal Council had maintained order through superior technology and overwhelming force. Now they faced an enemy that could strike anywhere, remain undetected, and potentially defeat their entire military machine. Council Speaker Vorthak looked out over the assembled representatives, seeing fear, uncertainty, and division where there had once been unity and confidence. The age of unchallenged Council dominance was ending, and they would have to decide whether to adapt to the new reality or be swept aside by forces they could not control. As the session continued into the night, one thing became clear. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity had forced that change through superior technology, hidden strength, and the courage to challenge an order that had dismissed them for far too long. Admiral Minho Seo stood before the assembled commanders of humanity's dark matter fleet in the main briefing hall of Prometheus Station. The secret base buzzed with activity as crews prepared for the largest military operation in human history. 200 captains filled the amphitheater, their faces serious as they listened to their supreme commander outline the mission that would change the galaxy forever. Operation Revelation begins in 6 hours, the Admiral announced, his voice carrying the weight of decades of planning. The time for small demonstrations has passed. The Universal Council needs to see the full scope of our capabilities. Every major council installation, every important trade route, every symbol of their power will witness our presence simultaneously. Captain Yan Ju, commander of the stealth carrier Shadow's Edge, studied the massive holographic display showing council territory. The operation would require precise timing and flawless coordination across hundreds of light years. Sir, this will reveal our true fleet size to the galaxy. They will know we have been building ships in secret for years, Admiral Seo nodded grimly. The secret phase of their plan was ending, whether they succeeded or failed. After today, there would be no hiding the existence of humanity's dark matter technology. The psychological impact of revealing their full strength would be worth the risk. We have 143 operational warships, he continued, plus 37 support vessels and 12 carriers. Each battle group has been assigned specific targets. The galaxy will wake up to find human ships surrounding every major population center. The planning had taken months to complete intelligence. Teams had mapped the locations of Council military bases, government centers, and economic hubs across 50 star systems. The attack would be synchronized to occur during peak activity hours when the maximum number of aliens would witness humanity's. Power Captain Min Lee of the stealth destroyer. Night Hunter raised his hand. Admiral, what are our rules of engagement if Council forces attempt to attack our ships? The crews had trained extensively, but this would be their first real test against alien military technology. We are not starting a war today, Admiral Seo replied firmly. We are ending one. The war began when they destroyed Proxima Colony, when they rejected our diplomatic missions, when they treated humanity as inferior for 50 years. Our show of force will demonstrate that era is over. Dr. Unichoi entered the briefing room carrying the final technical reports from her research teams. The dark matter systems are operating at full efficiency, she announced. All ships can maintain phase invisibility for up to 6 hours, and our communication network will allow perfect coordination across the entire galaxy. The operation began as human fleets departed from hidden bases throughout the Outer Rim territories. Ships that had been disguised as mining vessels, research stations, and cargo haulers revealed their true nature as advanced military platforms. The largest movement of dark matter vessels in history proceeded toward Council space, completely undetected. Captain June Park guided his ship, the Defiant Hope, toward the Council capital world of Nexus Prime, where the government buildings stretched into the clouds. The massive city housed 50 billion aliens from dozens of species, all of whom believed themselves safe under Council protection. They were about to learn how wrong that belief had been. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out as human commanders positioned their invisible fleets around major population centers. Captain Dae Kim brought his battle group to the Titan shipyards, where the Council's most advanced vessels were constructed. Captain Sung Choi led his squadrons to the trading hub of Port Vega, while Captain Hai Lee surrounded the military academy on Warrior Prime. The synchronized revelation began at exactly 1200 Standard Galactic Time, when civilian populations would be at their most active. On 17 worlds, simultaneously Council citizens looked up to see impossible sights, human warships materializing out of thin air. above their cities appearing like dark angels of judgment against alien skies. The ships emerged from dark matter phase with dramatic flare, their sleek black hulls reflecting the light of foreign suns. The vessels were beautiful and terrifying at the same time clearly advanced beyond anything the Council had seen before, but also unmistakably military in their purpose. On Nexus Prime, the government district fell into shadow as massive human battlecruisers positioned themselves above the council chambers. The elegant towers that had stood as symbols of galactic order for millennia now looked small and vulnerable beneath the hovering warships. Panic spread through the streets as alien civilians pointed at the sky with trembling appendages. Emergency services were overwhelmed with calls as citizens demanded to know how enemy vessels had penetrated the most heavily defended airspace in the galaxy. The planetary defense grid had detected nothing until the ships chose to reveal themselves. Admiral Jin Seo appeared on every communication network simultaneously, her image broadcast from human ships to alien populations across the galaxy. Her voice remained calm and professional despite the chaos. Her revelation was causing citizens of the Universal Council. She began, "I am Admiral Jin Seo of the Human Colonial Fleet. What you see above your worlds today represents just a fraction of humanity's military capabilities. We have demonstrated that your defenses cannot protect you from weapons you cannot detect. This is not an attack," she continued as alien military forces scrambled to respond. "This is a reminder that humanity will no longer be ignored, dismissed, or treated as inferior. We possess the power to project force across the entire galaxy, and your technology cannot stop us." The demonstration was perfectly coordinated. Human ships maintained precise formations above alien cities, while more vessels surrounded military installations and government facilities. Not a single shot was fired, but the message was unmistakable. Humanity could strike anywhere at any time with overwhelming force. Emergency broadcasts flooded communication networks as council leaders tried to maintain calm among their panicking populations. Some officials attempted to downplay the threat, claiming the human ships were holograms or illusions. Others called for immediate military strikes against the invaders. But weapons fired at the human vessels passed harmlessly through their hulls as the ships phased in and out of normal space. Fighter squadrons found themselves attacking empty air while their targets remained visible but untouchable. The demonstration of invulnerability was even more terrifying than raw firepower would have been. Captain Mira Song reported from her position above the Arachnari homeworld. "Their military is attempting to attack us with everything they have, but our ships are taking no damage. The aliens are beginning to understand that their weapons are useless against dark matter technology." Similar reports came in from across the galaxy as alien forces fired ineffectively at human ships that could not be harmed by conventional weapons. The psychological impact was devastating council species that had dominated. The galaxy, for millennia, suddenly felt helpless against an enemy they could not fight. The economic effects were immediate as well. Shipping companies refused to send vessels through areas where human warships had been detected. Stock markets crashed as investors realized the balance of power had shifted dramatically. Trade routes that had operated safely for centuries were now potentially under human control. On the most heavily defended worlds, alien governments activated emergency protocols, designed to protect against invasion, but their shields could not block enemies that attacked from another dimension, and their sensors could not track ships that existed partially outside normal space. Admiral Seo watched the operation unfold from Prometheus Station, satisfied with the precision of the assault. "Phase 1 is complete," he announced to his command staff. "Every major population center in Council space has witnessed our capabilities. Now we wait for their response." The galaxy had been transformed in a single day. The Universal Council faced a new reality where their military supremacy was meaningless against an enemy that could appear anywhere, remain undetected, and strike with impunity. The age of alien dominance was ending, and humanity had announced its arrival as the new dominant power in the galaxy through a show of force that left no doubt about their capabilities or determination. The Universal Council chamber had never been so quiet in its 3,000-year history. The great hall that had once echoed with confident debates and proud declarations now held only the sound of nervous breathing and shifting bodies. Representatives from across the galaxy sat in stunned silence, contemplating a reality they had never imagined possible. The primitive humans they had dismissed as scavengers and primitives now commanded the most powerful fleet in known space. Their advanced technology made every Council military force obsolete overnight. The balance of power had shifted so dramatically that many species still could not fully comprehend what had happened. Council Speaker Vorthak rose slowly from his throne, his silver scales having lost their luster over the past weeks of emergency sessions. The proud Draconi leader who had ruled the Council for 2 centuries now faced the most difficult decision in galactic history. His voice carried the weight of defeat as he made the announcement that would change everything. After extensive deliberation and careful consideration of recent events, he began the vote on human membership in the Universal Council. Has been completed. The result is unanimous. Humanity is hereby